Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elina Mattila, and I'm the Executive Director at Mobey Forum. Welcome to this Mobey Forum online member meeting. Today we'll be talking about a topic that has not been covered at Mobey before, and it's a very important topic, so it's definitely time for us to bring up this discussion. So in today's session, we'll be focusing on sustainability in banking. Now, this is an important topic, of course, because it's important to take care of our planet. But also, of course, beyond that, it also makes business sense. So increasingly for consumer, the values of the company play an important role, and more consumers are willing to change their habits to lessen the negative impact on the environment. Consumer awareness in sustainability is growing, and they are starting to demand more sustainable products. And this trend is spilling over to the world of banking and finance. So what should or can banks and the financial services industry do in terms of sustainability? So that's what we're here to talk about today. We have an amazing panel of experts to share their insights. Before I hand over to our moderator for the day, I'll just go through a couple of housekeeping issues. So please make sure that you are muted and you have your cameras turned off. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand, use the raise your hand function, and we can call out your name and ask you to unmute yourself to ask the question. The other option is to send your question through the chat function. We operate under the Chatham House rule, which means that is being said during the session cannot be repeated outside in the way that the person who said it or their organization can be identified. We record this session and share it within the Mobey Forum members only. So this recording will be available, and as will be the presentations. So let's get started. I'm delighted to introduce you to our moderator for the session, Maurizio Boletto. He's currently serving as the Managing Director of George Labs at Erste, but last week he was appointed as the Chief Platform Officer at Erste Bank, so an amazing role. And of course, Mauri is a member of the Mobey Forum Board of Directors. Welcome, Mauri.
Hi. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. We can hear you well, or we can see you, so I'll turn over to you.
All right, so let's start with this nice topic today. So as we do normally in this kind of events, we ask each panelist to provide a 5-minute presentation of who they are and what their business is about. And then once we have done that presentations, we will go through a nice discussion. I will moderate a couple of questions. But please, I'm asking you, please raise your hand and post some questions. I think it should be a dialogue between them and you more than between me and them. So I see myself like I take over if there are no questions, but I'm sure there are going to be plenty of questions. So let's go ahead. So let's go through the introduction, and we start with Helena Müller. She's a co-founder and head of Alland Index Solution at Doconomy, a company that develops financial formulas and tools so that people can see what is really happening, fields that shift and then take control to build a more sustainable future. Helena has 20+ year experience from the banking and the financial industry. Welcome, Helena, and let's go through your presentation. You need to unmute, I think.
Helena, we can try to read your lips if you speak very clearly.
All right, so Elena has a great suggestion. Let's start with the second panelist, and she tried to fix a technical problem at the moment. So the second panelist for today is Tommy Akari, the product owner behind the Nordea Wallet app, building it from early concept to a multi-million user daily app in the Nordics. He will tell us a bit more about the carbon footprint function in the app. And welcome, Tommy. Looking forward to hear from you.
Yes, thank you, Marian. Hello, everybody. Hope you hear me better than Helena. And greetings from freezing Helsinki. I think it's great to be here. I've been participating in the Mobey Forum sessions for some 15 years, and so it's great to be on this side as well. So my name is Tomi Hakari, like said, working for Nordea, which is a major Nordic bank. I've been here about 15 years roughly. Mostly being involved with the development of different digital experiences for the customers, and last about 5 years of that I've been developing the app that was mentioned called Nordea Wallet, and like I said, from very early scratch concepts to what it is today, and I'm currently the proud product owner for that. And if you change the slide, I can tell a couple of words about what the wallet is. So basically, it's a card companion app, comes with every Nordea card. There's there's a couple of bullets about that. So currently it's used about 1.2 million users in Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, and it's a way to manage your card usage. So keep you up to date in what's happening with your cards in real time, and it's utilizing data quite heavily. So everything is built on the purchase data and utilizing the data by making overviews, summaries, category drill downs, splits, all of these related to your card data, naturally in real time all. And like I said, perhaps the reason why I'm here is that about a year ago we added a function in the wallet which is evaluating the carbon dioxide equivalent footprint of the purchases. And the idea with that is not to give you exact grams about how much you're producing. It's quite challenging, simply based on the merchant and the payment amount, but rather the idea is that it puts focus on that, and it gives cardholders the idea that whatever you do with your card has an impact. So basically every purchase generates something, and whatever you change in your card usage will have then an impact on the basically the environment. So what we want to do is to help you to live more sustainably. And the technology that is using is something called Åland Index, and I'm sure Helena will be ready to tell more about that, how it actually works, and other things. So that's me, and Helena, if you have your microphone unmuted now, let's see if we can hear more about the actual solution.
Thank you, Tommy. Elena, did you manage to fix your issue? All right, then we go quickly to the next panelist, the last one for today. Ines is the founder and managing director at Tomorrow, a German neobank built on principle for sustainability. Welcome, Ines. Please, I'm looking forward to hear something about you and your company.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. Warm regards, first of all, from Hamburg. So I'm based here in Germany, in the north of Hamburg. And I'm very happy to be here today and share our business story with you. So basically, what have we done? My name is Ines. I'm one of the 3 founders of Tomorrow. I founded Tomorrow 2 years ago with 2 of my friends, because we really felt that it's time for a change. Yeah? We were personally very unsatisfied with the traditional banks here in Germany from 2 perspectives. First of all, I think from a sustainability perspective, we all had the feeling that basically the banks currently offering services here in Germany to the retail customers basically don't care enough about our environment, about the future of our planet, And we said we want to do that differently from a sustainability perspective, because we believe there's huge power and energy in money if you direct it into the right direction, into positive change. And the second reason why we were very unsatisfied was the technological approach of how banks are operating today. So basically everything that relates to convenience and user experience. And so we said, why not found a new banking player that combines great UX, great tech features with sustainability. So that's how we have set up Tomorrow on the three pillars on tech-driven, truly sustainable, and collaborative. With collaborative, we mean actually really working very closely together with our customers, our community, and being very, very transparent in contrast to other players who tend to be rather a black box than actually really sharing information and inviting the customers and sharing things like, for example, their product roadmap, engaging them into the roadmap. So these are some ideas. Yesterday, actually, we just had a crowd investing campaign with our community, because we gave our customers, for example, the opportunity to co-invest into Tomorrow together with our professional investors. And we were able to raise 3 million euros from our community within 300 minutes, so a few hours actually. This is maybe just an example of how we want to use our community to help us build the bank of tomorrow. What is our product like? Basically, we have a state-of-the-art app. We believe that it's really, really important that you have a great convenience, because we really believe that if you want to save the world, you at the end of the day need to throw a better party than those destroying it. And that's why tech at the end of the day is really, really important. How have we managed to quickly build up a bank? We're using a banking as a service player in the background. They are offering us the banking license. And so we are focusing on the card and the actual app. And then we are step by step building additional platform elements such as loans, investings, insurances, sustainable lifestyle products and payments. And so if you look at how are we contributing towards sustainable development, one area is customer deposits. So we make sure every euro that sits in our bank accounts is not invested in fossil fuels or any destructive industries, but rather finance positive change. We have savings and investments that we're launching in the next few months so that you can actually actively invest money. We have the debit card, we have a Visa debit card, and for example, with every purchase you make, we take the interchange fee of this and donate it directly into a forest protection project. And then we have sustainable lifestyle, where we try to help our customers lead a more sustainable life. One element of that is, for example, that we have a product called Tomorrow Zero, where we automatically offset the average footprint of that person on a monthly basis. So how is that actually working out at the end of the day? We have roughly 40,000 customers today, 70 million euros in deposits. And I think if you compare us with other challenger banks, you can see that we have several times the amount of average deposits. So there is much bigger trust in us. And also there is much more engagement. You can see that basically 82% of our customer base as a ratio are Instagram followers of the brand Tomorrow. Great. I think then I'm here with 5 minutes introduction yeah, looking forward to the next talks and then our joint discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ines. Very, very inspiring. And now let's go back to Helena. Okay, so she's trying to dial in right now. So let's try to cover the space and start the discussion with the other two panelists. So I'd like to start asking a very simple question to Ines. Ines, in your introduction, I said that Tomorrow is a neobank built on principle and sustainability. Can you please tell us which principle are we talking about?
Sure. Yeah, I think the challenge with sustainability is always it's a very, very complex topic. So when we talk about principles, basically we have a big list of positive and negative criteria that we follow. So first of all, we start with the negative criteria. So we have a huge list of things that we include, so industries that we exclude. Things like fossil fuels or child labor, or there could be deforestation, tobacco, whatever, you know, you name it. So there's a huge list of negative criteria. And then the more important thing is, I think, the positive criteria. And the positive criteria is basically derived from the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So these are things that, for example, like health, sustainable mobility, renewable energy, and then we really try and make sure that those companies that we, for example, support, or those investments that we do, that they meet this criteria. And how do we make sure that they meet this actually? Of course, we have third-party like rating agencies that we work with that do certain profiling of the companies or investments. And on top of that, we have an independent impact council that meets every few months, and who at the end of the day always have a final decision on whether we do a certain investment or not. Now I think you're muted, Maury.
There we are. Sorry. One more question to you, Ines, and then I would like to switch to Tommy. But last question, you mentioned into your presentation that you started this bank with 2 friends. I think this is great. Can you tell me, or can you tell us a bit, what did you do before, in a sense of how did you deal before founding a bank that deals with sustainability? What did you do before to deal with sustainability in your previous life? Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So actually, before starting tomorrow, I was not having any touch point with banking at all, to be honest. So I'm a total non-banker. A lot of people are typically shocked when they hear that. But I was building a software company before. I set up a cloud software company focusing on supply chain transparency. So we built a cloud software that helped companies such as Unilever or Aldi or Metro, some of the big retailers, to trace back their supply chains back to the root on where the products are actually grown, and increasingly actually sustainability standards measured within these supply chains. And so that really drew my attention. And when I saw that with technology you can actually have a positive impact, after 10 years of running the business, we had a team of approximately 100 people. I had the wish then to start something really new and dedicated to positive impact. And so I took some time off and then got into the topic of banking out of my personal need, actually. And then got together with 2 of my friends. And for example, one of my friends, he ran for 10 years a soft drink company, Lemonade, here in Germany, very successful. And it's, for example, very organic and transparent brand as well. So he also brought some genuine interest from the sustainability perspective on board.
Great story, Ines. Helena, how is it going? I see her muted again. Okay, we continue with Tom. Tommy, I have a question to you related to your app. I mean, you said that last year, 1 year ago, around 1 year ago, you introduced this carbon footprint in kind of control in the case. What I wanted to ask you is, did you do that because you had an intuition? You felt this air on the space, or you did that because your customer wanted you to do that, or because you learned from a studies or something? So how did you get the idea?
Sorry, I'm having some reception problems here. I think I might have heard the question. So it was about how we ended up adding this kind of feature, right?
Yeah, right. Was it more intuition, or more like a strategic move, or more like related to data research you did or whatever?
Exactly, yes. Well, first it was not customer driven. What we do is pretty much customer driven, so based on reacting to customer demands. But when we started this journey about 2 years ago, there was no customer demanding this. I think no customer had the idea that actually it's possible to evaluate something based on the purchases. So it's pretty much, like you said, pretty much based on intuition. So a couple of things. First, it's very important for me personally. So it was kind of driven by me sticking to that. And then on the other hand, we had nice modern big data setup, which enabled us building this kind of features very easily. So the implementation was just weeks of work instead of building something like totally from the ground. So it was easy to do, and it was available, and it was interesting. And of course, there's a bank has an interest in this as well. It's basically the first level is how a company can do its business in a sustainable way, and I think the second level is how a company can help or instruct its stakeholders, like customers in this case, to live a more sustainable way. And I think that's a far more powerful way of impacting, actually, because then we have huge masses that we are communicating to, and if we can manage to change their lives, then the impact is far bigger than just changing the way we operate as a bank. So that's how we ended up there.
And how was the customer reaction? I mean, they were shocked. They didn't expect it. They were welcome. And I mean, I'm sure there is a small, maybe not small in the Nordics, but there is a small community of people which are really passionate around this topic. But the majority probably they don't think that that's something ending up in banking. And for them, this must have been a shock or something. So tell us something.
Exactly. Yes. Basically, you listed all the reactions that we had. There's naturally a small minority that thinks that, okay, hey, this is great. This is exactly what you should be doing. I didn't know this possible. So great. And then there's the opposite, saying that, hey, don't push me this on my face. I never asked for this. I don't want to see this. They are the ones defending, kind of. And then there's quite an interesting portion of people who are the ones that are aware, and they naturally want more accuracy. So they are kind of telling that, okay, this is good, but this is not good enough. I mean, it's not precise. It's not true. They kind of know better. But I think what's most important is that the ones outside who were not thinking of this before now got the idea that, hey, actually, they put the focus on CO2 emissions. They hopefully understood that, okay, they can actually affect by changing the shopping behavior, the money usage, and the cash behavior. So I think that's the most important group between these. So it's very mixed reaction. Yes.
Can someone from the team here tell me if we managed to involve Helena, or are we going having a panel with two guys?
We're hard at it. She's been trying various ways, so hopefully.
So let's try now.
Here you are!
Hey.
Great to see you!
Yes, welcome. Don't touch anything.
And now, for the next half an hour, you should talk. Take all the time you need. You deserve it.
I don't. So I'm so happy to be with you, and really happy to also be able to be heard. Let me see if I can also connect on my computer so I can show you some presentation. So let's see. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm really glad to be able to tell my story today. Let me see if you can see my screen now.
Yes, we do.
Awesome. Wonderful. And I guess you can see it now as well.
Of course, everything works in fine. So don't stop it. It works.
Wonderful. So listen, I will share with you a story about an innovation in the intersection of finance, sustainability, and technology. So I'm Helena Miller. I'm co-founder of Deconomy, and I'm also leading the global rollout of Åland Index Solutions. At Deconomy, we believe it's time to connect consumption to the impact on the planet. We are in the midst of a severe climate crisis, and we all need to act, and we need to act now. We know that people need tools and that people need help to really move forward. That's why we founded Economy in 2018 and really set off on a journey to really achieve a sustainable lifestyle for all. At Economy, we have a consumer-facing app, the world's first mobile banking solution for everyday climate action, and it's live in Sweden since 2019. Along the journey, we realized that we actually had to open up and also license and offer our solutions to banks, large corporates, startups, all businesses around the globe. We are now live with 5 banks in 6 different markets, and the index that we use is an impact index that calculates currently carbon on each and every transaction you make. Our global partners, MasterCard, UNFCCC, Standard & Poor's Global, and Standard & Poor's Trucost, is also supporting us on this journey. We're building a global community of doers, of people, businesses, banks, retailers, brands, producers, what have you, to really start driving change for real. We set off on this journey because we know that people want to be part of the solution. People do not want to be hanging there and left, behind. So we built a solution based on banking that actually can help consumers understand how they impact the planet on a daily basis. Our first offering, the consumer-facing app Do, is currently live in Sweden. It contains a climate smart savings account, the Do credit card that actually helps you track and measure your carbon footprint on a daily basis. There's a climate compensation platform that helps customers compensate for the carbon footprint that they actually are part of creating. There's a planet loyalty program, and over time there will be an impact investment platform as well. Our solution calculates the carbon footprint of each and every transaction in real time. So immediately after purchase, the customer can log on to this solution and actually onboard into the app and see what the actual footprint was of a specific purchase. We receive a lot of feedback from customers and users that actually is part of applying the solution today. One customer actually said that this is a brilliant solution. This makes all other banking solutions irrelevant. And one thing that we are particularly proud of is that a lot of people says that this solution actually makes you spend your money more wisely. We are live with 4 banks, BNP Paribas, Bank of the West in the US, with Nordea in the Nordics, with Bank of Holland in Sweden and Finland, and Flowy in Italy. And more banks will follow soon. The carbon data we use, that actually is the engine that performs all the calculations, is a global average that also can be taken down onto brand level and local level so that it can be used anywhere in the world. It's an up-to-date and accurate index. That means we use the latest ESG data that companies reported on the past year. Our index is also externally audited through a limited review by Ernst & Young. We make our service available via a cloud-based API hosted in the Amazon Web Services cloud. And we build data on robust sources and scientific methodologies. It's the same data that corporates report to Carbon Disclosure Project, to GRI, to RobecoSAM, and all other ESG reporting guidelines that's out there. We have built a personal carbon management toolbox that can actually also be integrated in modules into any banking experience, or it can be used via our own brandable white label app. It contains a carbon visualizer, personal climate profiles, carbon budgeting and goal setting aligned with the national goals and the global goals and the Paris Agreement, a personal carbon coach. So it's more of a tips and tricks and ideas engine, which will help people also change behavior. And there's also the Do community, where all of our different partners, consumers, and also banks are part of. Our white label app will soon be launched later this quarter, actually, so late in 2020. And will continue to build on this experience together with our partners and banks and consumers worldwide. And it's a constant journey, and we need to work together. So being brave, being collaborative and transparent is really part of our core values and our origin. We're a small actor operating from up in the north with a base in Stockholm. That's why we have to stand on the shoulder of giants to really get across and to be able to build the ecosystem, connecting consumers, retailers, brand producers with the capital. Our goal is to reach 500 million people by 2025 to help them reduce carbon dioxide emissions with 2 tons each on average, equaling 1 billion metric tons of carbon, and ultimately also driving capital to the solutions where it's needed the most. We need you, each and every one of you, to be part of this journey. Find your way to also engage your customers, your partners, your suppliers, because we need to act, and we need to act fast. We need to cut carbon emissions in half by 2030 and get down to net zero in 2050. It's a huge challenge, but we can do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Helena. Very interesting. I start right away with a question on you, and let's start with the basic. Can you tell us very briefly what the do economy is, number one, and then also it would be fantastic if you could tell us where the word Island comes from, and why is that index called like that?
Oh, thank you. Great questions. So, do economy. It's really a company, a business, but also a philosophy and a movement. We mean, at economy, we believe we need to move away from the more passive, more traditional economy into a more actionable do economy, where people are connected, where people feel engaged, and where people also are part of the solution. And Åland Index, well, Åland Index was first introduced to the world in 2016, and that was actually done by Bank of Åland, who has their headquarters on Åland, and Åland is a small island in between Stockholm and Finland. And Bank of Åland wanted a vehicle for their initiative and for their commitment to the Baltic Sea and to the environmental causes. And you might know that the Baltic Sea is the most polluted sea in the world. So they wanted to find a way to also get this message across at the same time as they wanted to also engage others. And one curiosity here might be the fact that I was part of developing Åland Index back in 2015 and 16, and I was born on Åland, which is pretty weird because very few people are.
On the island?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Nice. That's a nice story, right? So I have a question to you and to Tommy, both of you. And it's a question coming from Thomas, who is basically said he is very interesting in the idea of telling customers and making customer aware the carbon footprint of every expenses and everything they buy, right? But they say, okay, this is rather post-purchase. Did you have any thought about trying to do something pre-purchase? In a sense, like before they take action kind of thing. So how do you approach that topic? Let's start with Tommy.
Yes, thank you. I was just actually going to hand it over to Helena because it's a very interesting topic, and actually we would love that as well. And we are pretty much relying on the Åland Index to provide the evaluation for that. So I'm looking forward to what's going to be enabled by the new versions or new releases of the Åland Index. So Helena, is there something that you have over there?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you. I think that's a very, very important question. at Economy, we don't believe that, you know, an global average index will be the ultimate solution. And that's why we also this summer launched a beta version of something that we called a tool that we call the 2030 calculator. That's a calculator. It's a beta version. It's available online. It's open source. And it's for the fashion industry to help them calculate the carbon footprint of each and every product they make, so that they actually can carbon label their products in store and help customers actually choose the most sustainable alternative, and also help them, if they want to, donate or compensate based on the true cost of consumption, so the social cost of carbon, really. This is one thing. Another thing is that we are also now developing a tool that will be integrated into our app or to any other app, which is actually a pre-purchase tool. So when the consumer is in store, he or she could actually type in the purchasing price of a product and then know, you know, the app will tell me what the carbon footprint is of a particular good or service. However, still based on all an index. But we are moving, you know, we are moving fast towards also getting down to product level, but the world is not perfect yet, and perfect cannot be the enemy of good.
All right.
So it's a yes. Yes.
I'm really interested on this calculator you just mentioned. Is this available for everyone or is it only for businesses?
It's available for everyone. You can go on to www.2030calculator.com.
And what do you need to type in? Just the category of the purchase or what?
So you type in what input materials you use, you type in where the product has been produced, so you can actually also use the energy sources, you type in the means of transportation, so it's really in 5 different metrics.
Very interesting. Tommy, do you have something to add on this?
No, I'm looking forward to getting to implement this at one stage. There's naturally plenty of stuff to implement, so always hard prioritization.
All right, I have a question coming in from Arman, and it's a question to is a question to Ines. The question I have here, Ines, is the following: do you assess your sustainability, the sustainability of your investment choices? And does it include the energy your banking platform is consuming to be live?
So if I understood the question correctly, is if we assess the projects that we invest in, or?
Yeah, right. The first question is, do you assess your investment? I think you don't have investment, right? So I think that's not the case for you.
I think it's coming up, so I think it applies to both. So every investment, I think that we do an assessment, yeah. And I think, as I explained a little bit already earlier, we have a several-step process. So first of all, we do our own check against our positive and negative criteria. Once we go through that, we pass on our investment ideas to a rating agency. And this rating agency does these individual checks and then gives us back feedback. And once we have that feedback, we funnel basically the project through our impact council. Those are 5 people from interdisciplinary backgrounds, and they basically then discuss on the scoring, etc., whether we are able to invest according to our criteria or not. And I think this discussion at the end of the day is really the most important thing, because sustainability is not always black and white and quantifiable with a simple score sometimes.
How about you, Tommy? Are you assessing investment, or you just stay on transaction for the moment?
Well, staying on transaction, naturally, Nordea is offering quite a lot of sustainable investment funds and other instruments to invest on. I think there's an aspect to that, because it seems that this is the most popular or most common way of guiding people to actually do some good is to invest in some sustainable funds and other instruments. But I think it's also, we are pretty much concentrating on what to invest to, but we quite seldom ask or instruct what to invest from. And I think there's quite a lot of people that actually they don't have a chance to invest that much. I mean, they're pretty tight on their cash flow, and that's one aspect that we are thinking in the wallet as well, that okay, now that we can show the way where you're actually using your money and where you're spending your kind of loose cash, if you can act upon that and maybe reduce that, and maybe there's a chance that if you manage to save something, then you would have a chance to invest on something that generates some common goods, some green funds or sustainable funds. So that's kind of the other aspect of the investment part. But the actual question whether like banking platform energy is somehow evaluated on that, I have to say I have no idea.
Ines, how about you? I mean, I guess your platform is running on the cloud. So is your cloud provider kind of guarantee any kind of sustainability measure, or you have no idea as well?
Well, we researched it in a very thorough way. So we checked on whether there's one big complication. So as soon as you want to host something as a banking provider, there are a lot of standards that you have to comply with. Actually, there is a really cool hosting provider here outside of Hamburg that provides hosting directly from the energy of wind turbines. However, unfortunately, they're not able to comply with our standards. So at the end of the day, we have ranked basically our hosting providers. So we have found that the Google Cloud is actually the most sustainable one compared to Amazon and Microsoft at the moment. So we try to do as much as possible with Google. We still have some stuff running on Amazon, but we're going to move that completely over to Google due to the sustainability criteria, actually. That's one thing. So we're trying always to use the most sustainable version of that, because, for example, what Google is, I mean, I'm not a friend of Google in every terms, to be honest, but when it comes to hosting, what they do quite smartly, they balance the load of their hosting based on where they have most available renewable energy. So if there's more wind, more renewable energy in certain areas of the world, they route more traffic to these data centers. Yeah, so that's what I found is actually pretty cool. On top of that, what we do, we calculate, of course, our own carbon footprint from the cloud-based computing, and we report that as well on an annual basis, and we offset those with our own projects.
Great, thank you, Ines. Elena, I have a question for you. Tell us something about investment. We talked about like transactions and purchase and people spending money left and right. So what are you doing, and what Doconomy is doing in the field of investment, sustainable investment and stuff like this?
Okay, so we are currently developing an impact investment platform that we will also launch and introduce into the Do app, where our customers and users will be able to invest on a monthly basis or whenever they have savings that they want to transfer into a mutual fund. This platform will be very much about engagement and also making sure that customers can see how they align with the global goals, with the 1.5 degree target, and also it will be a tool to also report back and engage our users in their investments and the money that they've actually saved, so that people can, you know, continue save and also be encouraged that the money that they actually invest really is making something good for people and planet.
That's very interesting. Thank you. I don't see questions from the audience, but I have a question myself, which I have a question. Yeah, I see something. But before I'm reading that question, let me ask you something which really I'd like to look a bit ahead on where we're standing right now. I hear a lot about transactions, customer paying, shopping, these kind of things, and I think it's really important. Do you have any kind of imagination beside transaction and investment if that concept of sustainability and / carbon footprint, but let's stay on sustainability, can also be applied on other part of banking, like lending, for instance, mortgages, for instance, insurances, for instance. So do you have any imagination? Let's start with Tommy on this. Do you have any imagination where this could go, how this could grow in different verticals, in other verticals than, you know, transaction and investments?
Yeah, that's something actually I've been personally thinking quite a lot. I think the banks would have a great possibility. If we're talking about, for instance, housing loans, the banks would have a great position to encourage, let's say, building a wooden house or financing building a wooden house instead of a concrete heavy house, or using thermal heat instead of something else. So I think the banks could have a central role in kind of encouraging people to this kind of, let's say, if your housing loan target fulfills a certain criteria, we get you this bonus, or we give you this extra something instead. And I don't know, at least I haven't seen that happening yet, but I think that would be a great opportunity. So at least in housing loans, I guess there's great potential.
Good. Ines, how about you? I mean, you're launching investment soon, right? But any other vertical you're planning?
Yeah, I think if I look around, actually, what we have here in Germany already, I think there are some banks out there, not that many, but there are some banks already that give certain special deals if you, for example, for housing loans, etc. If you are, for example, rebuilding your house according to certain energy standards and you're saving energy. So either you get some cashback mechanisms from some let's say governmental banks, like a kickback. Yeah, that's one thing. And there are some banks, for example, that give you better interest rates if you have, let's say, if you're meeting certain energy standards when you're building a house or renovating a house. So I think we can already clearly see these trends, because I think at the end of the day, sustainability also is going to pay off, right? Okay, pay back, and it's the cheaper alternative long term. So the return on invest should be better, actually, right?
Thank you. Elena, what do you say?
So I completely agree with Tommy and Ines. And what I mean, banks have a very, very, very important role to play, because we're all, you know, at the tip of the finger of our customers, and we really are part of their daily life. So I think banks needs to step up and be even more innovative. I think we all need to consider, how can we actually encourage people to put solar panels on their roofs via a more, you know, benefit, more interest rates that are lower, or how can we offer people lower car loans for electric cars, you know, going all electric? How can banks not only engage consumers and retail banking customers and looking at your consumer credit portfolio, but we could also look at the corporate lending side of things and the credit portfolio as such, and give benefits to customers that are low carbon customers, i.e. it's reduced risk in the portfolio, it's reduced risk for the bank, and also find ways to really encourage other companies to move forward, supporting them in calculating carbon footprint from their products, offering them you know, discounts or better prices if they also are sustainable. I think there's a lot of things banks can do, and also really engaging with new actors in the market to try to collaborate and find solutions.
Thank you, Elena. A question popped up by Yuka. So Yuka, if that's the Yuka I know, is also a good friend of Mobey. So Yuka is asking you, Ines, if he understood right, you're donating the interchange fee for every debit transactions. He's just asking how do you make that work financially? I mean, interchange fee are probably your main source of income, or one of your main source of income, I guess. So how do you make that working with external investments, or is that sustainable? Yes,
I think it's a very good question indeed. So I think our whole business model is set up in such a way that we are not dependent on the interchange fee, like I think a lot of challenger banks are doing that. And so basically, we have a premium subscription model. We have already launched one earlier this year, with Tomorrow Zero, where we're automatically offsetting the individual footprint that costs, for example, 15 euros per month. And we have other second subscription model coming soon. And we are also launching our investment product. So we have some other monetization, let's say, layers that we're building up so that we're at the end of the day not so dependent on this interchange fee.
So this means that you actually, if I understand you right, your strategy is to stay very focused on that target group and say, I'm very focused, I have a clear proposition, I put the price on it, and whoever fits in that area, they're willing to pay the price. I mean, I was impressed on the chart you showed before about the average deposit, average on deposit on your account compared to the other challenger bank. I think this is amazing. How did you do that? How did you manage that? You have great customer actually.
Yeah, I think the asset at the end of the day that we really have, that we have really great customers that really love us and they really engage with us. I think we have really, just an amazing community out there. And I think at the end of the day, people come to us for a reason, right? So they don't come for us to find the cheapest banking product on the market. They come to us because they want to change the world, right? At the end of the day, they want to do something good. They want to be part of a movement. And I think that's really something cool. As I said, I was really astonished yesterday because we started our crowd investing campaign yesterday, and we had a maximum ceiling of 3 million, or actually initially 2 million euros. And we were planning to raise them throughout 2 weeks. And we were sold out the 2 millions basically after 2 hours. And then we extended for another hour and hit the 3 million. So I think it just shows how powerful at the end of the day this community is. And I'm really excited, to introduce some new products and things to extend the possibilities and to see what we can build together.
Awesome. If not more, so I have a question to all of you, and I think this question is a bit more related to storytelling more than the product itself, or in the case of Elena, the index itself, the service, let's put it that way. It's more on storytelling, because I think the sustainability story plays a great role into getting people engaged with a product or with a proposition, right? But then you need to make sure that they retain in your proposition. So the question is, which kind of storytelling are you kind of engaging, or you're pushing out to your customer? How frequent? What's the language? How does that working to keep them aware on the story? Because I'm sure you hook them in on the story, but you need to maintain them there. You need to keep the story interesting, right? So what kind of storytelling activities and engagement activity and education activities you are currently having in place, or you're planning to have in place, in order to keep that story alive? And let's start with Tommy.
Yes, a very good question, and I think it's very relevant. The way, well, I also have to admit that we're not doing that very well. So there's a lot that we could improve in that. But in principle, I think it's a complicated subject, or we can't just push everything in one go. So instead, we have to do it in increments. And now we started with the first little steps and showing you some numbers about what you are causing to the environment and that. And I think the relevant natural question is like, so what is this? Is this 5 kilos? Is that a lot or not? So I think the next thing in the story, or the next thing to keep it relevant is to give some sort of a scale, and it's actually pretty challenging to do. I mean, what you can do is you can compare to yourself, like what I did last month, what I did last year, this purchase, that purchase. But then still comparing to something else. Is my footprint bigger than your footprint? And it might be really challenging to tell based on this. Let's say I buy the groceries of my whole household, and maybe you split that with your partner, and which means that your footprint is then half of mine, basically. Plus, it's very hard to compare. I mean, living in different places, different stages of life, different environments. So we haven't actually come up with a very good comparison. We could gamify like Finland versus Sweden or something like that, or city versus countryside, or Stockholm against Denmark, whatever. But haven't actually taken that step yet. So maybe we should somehow, as the next step, to build more about the context, more about the scale, more about the comparison. Like is this good or bad?
Elena, what do you have in the pipeline for Tommy as he's using
exactly? Yes.
We have to take a meeting right after this. No, but there are a lot of tools and things coming, and I think also, I mean, as I said, we would be happy to co-create with any partner, and also with Nordea and yourselves, to find solutions that can be, you know, really make this happen, so that people, our customers and consumers worldwide, want to join.
All right, Ines, how about you?
Actually, I think managing activities is one key KPI for us, right? And what we can see actually that month by month the activity rate is really increasing. So the question always is, how do you measure activity, right? So there are different levels of activity. So for example, we define activity in different levels. An user that at least does one transaction per month, right? So out of these, for example, we have 70% of our users are active, and this rate has increased from initially, I think we were maybe at 40% and now have 70%. So we can see that and track it with cohorts that these are getting better. And the other activity level is main spending account. So we track if somebody here in Germany spends at least, I think, 250 euros approximately per month with his card, or then considered like a main spending account. And then the third tier is like having it as a salary account. So where you have at least 1,000 euros per month coming in. And we track those three metrics, and we can see that they are continuously improving. And I think this is only possible by engaging the community with, I think, the brand itself, storytelling, updating them through newsletters. We are doing a lot of meetups. Since Corona, we do a lot of digital meetups, which works very, very well. So we present, for example, new features. We talk about certain impact projects or strategies and ask our community as well with Q&A. You know, they can ask us. Try to be transparent. This really, we have the feeling, engages users very much. And then, of course, bottom line, you have to be very active on releasing new stuff, right? Which is always not so easy, because I think the future of banks increasingly is to become like software companies with a banking license. And therefore, I think one benchmark would be how many releases you do you know, per month or per year, etc., to track that and improve that.
But if I understood you right, you have a transparent backlog, right? You're sharing your backlog with your customer, right?
Yeah.
What is
that's correct.
What is the feature? What's the request number one? The top on the list, the one they wanted, and you didn't manage it yet. What is that? If you can show it. I promise me and Tommy will not copy it. We are banks.
What about you? What are your guesses? You want to give any wild guesses?
Let me think. I don't know. They were. I don't know. I'm sure they want something that you don't want. Otherwise, you would have done it already. But I don't know what it is. Tell me.
For us, it's very simple, because you know we haven't been in the market for so long, so we are still lacking behind on some features. So number one is shared accounts. So basically, your account, friends or family, So you can give them access to your account and then issue another card. So you can jointly use the same account with several people. Yeah, and so we try to re-engineer this shared account feature in a new way, so it's really easy to use and fun to use. So it's similar, you know, how you can invite people to your Dropbox folder, etc. So that's the number one request, interestingly. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Tommy, what's on your backlog next?
Is this shared accounts with no that we already built? Sorry. Well, there's plenty of stuff I think pretty much related to this. Is that I mean, shared accounts are pretty common within like households, and what we're lacking today is that we don't have visibility now to the household economy. So I can see my economy and my footprint, but like said in the example, that if I make the grocery shopping of my family and there's another family where it's split equally between two, then that makes totally possible to compare. So if we get to make like a household visibility, then it would fix that pretty much.
I like the story of the share account because somehow it gives me the feeling that these people which are totally motivated on this topic, they like to share it. Normally, banking is something private, right? But in this specific case, they're so proud of their action and they are really being part of a bigger story, then they want to share it. So, Elena, how do you think about that? The fact that obviously you are touching a topic that the people which are really engaged on this topic, they don't want to keep it private. They want to share it. They want to tell the world they're doing something great, right? So, are you thinking about that? Are you doing something in this direction? Are you having something in plan?
So really, one thing that we have also had in our roadmap and our plan since start, and we haven't launched it yet, but it's really the possibility for people to share their carbon footprint in social media, to show this is my carbon footprint for last month, and this was my reductions, how well I did, or this is how much, you know, of my lifestyle that is currently aligned with the 1.5 degree, really, with the 1.5 degree target. And I think also what you're talking about, Inas, also the community thought that also a lot of the larger neobanks are really good at, Monzo, for instance, but that's really something that also resonates with this customer group. People want to share, people want to be part of co-creating, and they are tired of banks that would potentially not, you know, listen in on their needs on a more regular basis, apart from, you know, customer insight surveys and all those things that we used to do.
Can I also ask a question? Is it possible? Yeah. Because I would like actually also to ask Tommy and Helena, because I find this quite interesting. Also, what you shared, and I think Tommy, when you first presented, you mentioned that you have 1.2 million users. I think using your app is quite you know, a big number, a number we are dreaming of, definitely, and. So those 1.2 million users, are they users that already use your banking app, or are they explicitly using basically the footprinting area? So I would maybe just be interested in understanding how does the activity work, and also maybe Helena, also interested how you see, is it something people engage with and then they're excited, I can track my footprint, and do they just check it for the first 3 months and then you need to reanimate them again? Or is that really, do you really see a you know, sustainable, continuous pickup of activity and engagement?
Yeah, I can share something based on the data that we have about our users. It's the actual number of the agreements that have been done to take the app into use. But like said, it's just a small, quite recently launched feature with the CO2 tracking. And I think based on our data, it's about 10% of people on monthly level who are using those views. So it's a couple of views that we are tracking, and it might not be like extremely accurate, but that's a level we are talking about. So still quite a number of people who are taking a look at those figures. It's roughly something that we were expecting to happen as well. So So in a number, it's still quite impressively high. And if we have an impact on those people's behavior, then I think we have reached our goal with what we're doing.
Totally. Yeah, interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, and to add to that, so I think also we need to remember that we are comparing a niche product that really is targeting the leading, innovators and the people that are really committed with a more traditional legacy bank offer. If you excuse me, Tommy, but the product you have also target all the customers. So what we can see is that they're clearly a subset of the customer base in all the banks that we are working with that are really committed and that want to use the service. And bear in mind that it's very recently launched. So I mean, Nordea went live in January this year, and we also have Flowy that went live just prior to summer, and Bank of the West in the US this summer. But we see some of the banks that we are working with actually see an uptick in growth, so customer growth, adding on 1,000 customers a day into their service, and also having customers that are really, really active. And I think the future will prove. I think we need some more time to also be able to see how active customers are, how long they stay in the app every time they visit, etc., etc. But it's clearly a solution that creates stickiness and a solution that also enables cross-selling. So really actually opening up the bank and the offering to other products as well. So, and that's why I believe, as you're saying also, Ines, that the community thought and engaging your users on a recurring basis, and also developing these tools that actually makes it worthwhile for them to spend time in the solution on a daily basis or on a monthly basis to start with. And that's also about the offering. The offering has to be as good or better as a normal traditional banking offering. So I think, yeah, there are aspects of this.
I think it's spot on what Mari said with the storytelling, that we need to keep the story fresh and improve and increase accuracy and other features, comparison and peer-to-peer stuff.
Yeah, and can I add one thing there? Sorry, but about storytelling.
One, yes.
Okay, so my time's up. Thank you.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, but I think also one thing that we all, and I know we are good at this to a various degree, but at Economy we talk about impact by design. So I think actually, designing a compelling product, just because it's a banking product, doesn't mean it has to look the same way as banking products has been, presented to the user for centuries. It can be something new. It can stand out. It can also be, disruptive to a sense. And I think also innovation, staying ahead of the game, introducing new innovations, new features, new type of products that also communicates. So you don't have to work on the story all the time. You can launch new innovations that actually communicates for you. Like when Economy launched Do Black, the world's first credit card with a carbon limit. I mean, that, yes, we have signups for that product, which is totally amazing, but that was also a communication release of the potential product that made all other impact products look not that scary. And also it told the story. Hey guys, hey all bankers out there, this can actually be done. So I think I think all of us are doing a great job.
So that's, by the way, a fantastic product with a carbon limit on a credit card instead of on a money limit.
Yeah, and that's what I also wanted to say earlier. That at Economy, we try
to just understand. The card stopped working when I reached the limit.
Yeah, so
exactly.
It has a limit aligned with the national goals, and it will help you reduce your carbon footprint with 7.5% annually, so that you are aligned 2030. But so what I wanted to say is that when we do these things, we at Economy, we use the same lingo as the banking industry does. We try to present our solutions with what we believe, at least, is a bit more edgy design, some new types, connecting words to the image, etc., like all of you are doing. And I think that's also really time for bankers to be more bold.
All right, thank you very much. We have been very diligent with the time. It's 5:14, so I think this panel is supposed to end up in 1 minute. Let me recap a bit what we have here on the table, and then I give you the last few words to tell a bit about yourself, where people can find you. So first, I want to thank you to join, and I want to say to everyone who joined that conversation today that this is exactly what Mobey is about. So Mobey Forum is bringing, as you see, the large bank like Nordea, represented here by Tommy, the service innovation represented by Helena, and the challenger, which actually are challenging us, the banks, to become better and to do things faster and more agile and easier, right? And that's exactly the conversation we have every time we do Mobey events. Now, unfortunately, we have them all online. Normally, we have great meetings with great parties, at least 4 times a year. But sooner or later, we're going to get back to that world again. So thank you, all of you again. I would love if you can tell our audience where they can find you, when they can find information about you and your company, if they want to reach you out. And yeah, just say a few words and then we can close. So Helena, where people can find you?
Well, so either you send me an email, helena.mueller@duconomy.com, or you go to www.duconomy.com. And I want to thank you all for listening in. And I also want to encourage you, reach out to all of these actors and learn and get inspired.
Tommy.
Yes, just writing in the chat that equally tommy.hakkari@nordea.com, and of course I'm welcome to or I welcome all comments and discussions and ideas and also questions. So I mean, there's quite a lot we have learned during the journey, and I'm of course happy to share that with anybody who's on the same journey and let's say, for instance, launching these kind of features in the products. So please be in touch.
Ines, is you now. Can I open an account at your bank even if my residence is in Austria?
Say yes.
Yeah, that should be possible. Yeah.
So where people can find about you and about
in Austria, that should work. Yeah, shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you can find us under tomorrow.one. So .one. I also wrote my email address, inas@tomorrow.one, or in link if you reach out. And thanks everyone for participating. And yeah, thank you all for discussing and sharing thoughts.
Then we are done for today. I wish everyone a great evening, and well, it's only Tuesday. I cannot tell you great weekend, but so a great week to everyone else. I look forward to see you in the next Mobey event. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you, Mari.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.